We now return to the real Ghostbusters. Here's a look at the Diamond Select, the real Ghostbusters, Series 10, Peter Venkman. Dr. Peter Venkman was performing ESP research at a large New York City university when his funding was unceremoniously cut, leaving himself and his colleagues Ray Stantz and Egon Spangler out of work. However, a close encounter with the Phantasm gave the trio the data they needed to catch and contain a supernatural entity, inspiring a new venture, the Ghostbusters. Acting as the public face and spokesman for the group, Peter took a special interest in their first client, Dana Barrett, whose building was the site of a doorway to another dimension. It was Peter who discovered, almost too late, that Dana had been possessed by the demigod Zool, minion of Gozer. This 7-inch action figure is based on the animated series The Real Ghostbusters and features multiple points of articulation. Yes, you don't have to tell me. I realized I'm a bit behind on my Real Ghostbusters reviews. This was sort of those things that I put to the side with the intent of finally getting around to, and finally getting around to doing them right now. Okay. According to the Ultra Megatron 5000, apologies for that, by the way, old bean. According to the Ultra Megatron 5000, you're looking at Peter Venkman standing 7.5 inches in height, which in centimeters works out to be 19.2 centimeters tall. Yes, I picked up the recent wave consisting of Ray Stantz, Peter Venkman, and the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man several weeks ago, and I just never got around to reviewing it. Shame, shame on you, reviewer. Needless to say, the accessories that come included with Pete Venkman is a rather bent, warped PKE meter. Yes, I don't know what's happened to the handle, and unfortunately the antennas, well, I could probably justify those a little bit more because they are thinner varieties of plastic. The bottom handle, unfortunately, may need some submerging in water. And just kind of hot water should melt that in place. Well, not melt it, but certainly will allow me to soften the plastic and bend that back into place. Put that over to the side. By the way, it is also the same PKE meter that we got ourselves with, I believe both Winston Zedmore and obviously Egon Spangler would have came with them. I think Egon's was up at the top there. They have varied a little bit. Still sporting the navy, kind of that purple-blue color that are known for, like the PKE meters, the proton packs that I'm waving aimlessly at right now. All of those have this rather familiar Real Ghostbusters color scheme, and I really like that. Always big fan of the color schemes. I love the blues and stuff. Just pops a little bit of extra color. Speaking of popping an extra little bit of color, also got ourselves a Proton, a ghost trap. My brain. Little ghost trap. We've also seen this before as well. Still done in the blue plastic. Probably will want to adjust maybe while I'm in the process of dipping this in hot boiling water. I'll probably also do the exact same thing with the ghost trap, just to kind of bend that handle back into place. You've got the little foot pedal that is just adjusted, or attached I should say, by just a thin bit of plastic. Don't want to be stretching this too much, don't want to be bending this for obvious reasons. Don't know the obvious reasons, it will break. I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but that would be what would happen. It would just ultimately break. So you got the little Proton PK meter, and you got also yourself a ghost trap. Now the thing about the ghost trap is you can attach it, unlike the movie Ghostbusters, you can attach it to the side of the Proton pack. It doesn't really sit well. I mean, it tabs into place. You saw how I did it. That square peg went into that square hole. A happy friendship started after that. And it does stay in place, but it sits on an angle, as you can see. I mean, it stays enough in there that it's not going to be going anywhere, but can't help but feel, obviously, that it probably would have worked a little bit better if that peg was just a little tad bit longer. And then, of course, you've got the foot pedal that just sort of gets in the way. You can kind of tuck that around to the back. And Pete Venkman has got himself a ghost trap on his back. Right there. Let's go ahead and take the ghost trap off, because I know it's going to fall off anyways. I might as well just, I'm getting to the punch before, you know, the trap falls off and falls onto the floor. Okay, so let's have a look at the other accessory. Obviously, the larger of the accessories is his Proton pack. And it still seems like these are attached to the figures. short of you cutting these straps, which I certainly would not advise, would be probably the easiest means and only means to take the straps off. You could of course, take the shoulder straps off, but still seems like there's no solvable solution for detaching the belt. I don't see, from what I can see and what time I've spent with the figure, can find a place in which that can detach from the Proton pack. Again, just short of detaching that yourself. Don't want to probably do that. The Proton Wand attaches right to the side. Let me just go ahead and take that off for you. It attaches to the side via this clip. Now, I have noticed, let me just go ahead very carefully. I'm already starting to see a problem with this. It has started to bend. You can see right there. There is like a little stress line that's starting to form, and it also looks as if too, like, I don't know if the paint is coming off. It looks like there's a little bit of almost silver residue, but I don't believe that was there up to the point that I was adding this and removing this. I feel like that was just blue. Needless to say, it does clip into place. You just want to clip it kind of above the handle portion of the Proton Wand, and it stays in place. It's a much easier fix than that little triangular peg that they were using for the movie figures, in which the Proton Wand just kind of attached. That was coming from my mouth, by the way. Just attached via that little triangular peg. It's a lot easier this way, although you want to just be really, really careful, because the last thing you want to do is want that clip to break off on you. Okay. The other thing that comes included with the figure, no, not talking about the gloves. We'll talk about the gloves in a second, but a rather cool, let me just going to lay him down for a second. He's going to fall. The one thing also that he comes included with is his Proton Stream. Now, it does vary from figure to figure. We've already kind of examined that for the other two figure reviews that we've done. Technically, I've already done the Slimer also as well, so there's 3 figures from before. The Proton Stream does look the same, although the coloring is different. Peter's here is green with the little electricity wrapping around it. Sorry, my hand was in the way. Down below. It was wrapped around in the electricity. And the way to attach that to the Proton Wand is you're just going to basically take the little tip here, and you're just going to stick it into that opening there, and then it's not going to go anywhere. So then if you want to attach it to the figure, you just attach it to the hands. You know how gripping hands work by now. And you can just bend the elbow. We'll just quickly summarize this, because obviously you guys could spend a little bit more time doing this than I would, but there we go. You can just attach the Proton Wand with a Proton Stream, and you can add the Proton Wand to Peter's hand, and you've got himself busting some ghosts. And then while you're also at it, you can add yourself a ghost trap right down there. The only thing that this line doesn't really have too much of so far, short of Slimer and the upcoming review, yes, the review of it will be coming, is the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man, but it doesn't have any of the cool ghosts that really, for me, as a viewer of real Ghostbusters growing up as a kid, it was the ghost that captivated me just as much as the Ghostbuster team themselves. So I would hope down the road we'll start seeing some actual spirits and phantasms starting to pop up by Diamond Select. I want to certainly see a Sam Hain, for example, or of course the Boogeyman. The Boogeyman is the one I really want to see. I really want to see a Boogeyman with a big giant head, kind of that sporting mohawk mullet with the little sideburns. Anyways, so that's what we've got for the figure itself. We've got the 4 Ghostbusters, and then of course we've got Stay Puft and Slimer. The other accessories that come included with Peter, and I'm hoping he's not going to fall over while I'm doing this, is he comes with a series of gloved hands. Now, I don't know. I think for the movie figures, find inclined to probably display the figures with the gloved hands myself. I think, though, when it comes to the real Ghostbusters, I'm more kind of nudging. Doesn't really take much to nudge me in the side of. I'd rather personally display the figures with the regular bare hands. I just kind of think that that's more real Ghostbusters. But if you so wish, the real Ghostbusters do come included with gloved hands. Pretty much the exact same hands, if I'm not mistaken, the exact same hands as what we saw with the movie figures. He comes with like a gripping hand, various different types of gripped hands, and then also ones for the other hand as well. On the other hand, I guess those would be a pair, and then a pair, as we already looked at here. Each one of them also have the little cuffs, so at the bottom of the gloves, you can just fit that over the sleeve section, and then you just attach that into the ball socket section of the sleeves. Somebody right now from the back of the crowd, how'd he get in there? Asked, how exactly do you change the hands? Okay, well, we'll do it quickly. I'm just going to take off the Proton stream, and we're going to hopefully have the Proton Wand attached to the Proton pack. I'm saying a lot of Proton stuff. See what I mean right there? There is the bend that I am hoping is not going to become an ongoing problem. I'm just going to attach that to the top there. All this for that one guy at the back, Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to take the hand off, just to show that one individual. Where'd he go? No, okay, he left. I guess he just wanted to ask, and then he just abruptly left. I hope he got himself at least the complimentary muffin on the way out. Don't leave without the complimentary muffin. Raisin Bran wasn't really my choice. And chocolate chip. I would suggest chocolate chip myself, but that's just me. There's what the gloved hand looks like. I know I was talking about muffins while I was doing this, but cuff of the glove over top of the sleeve, and some sound effects added to the explanation. I've just popped the hand in there as well. So you can go one glove, one non-glove if you want, and all the while hoping that you're not going to break that peg off. And there's the two variations of the hands. I really did want to show that guy too, and he just left. Should have made like the door exit a little bit more of a squeakier door so I could see that he snuck out. Anyways. So there is all your accessories, all the various tools of the trade. Let's have a look at Peter Venkman. Some much needed, some unnecessary, by some considered to be extra time spent at the beginning talking about muffins and accessories. But needless to say, let's have a look at the figure itself. Now, obviously, by this part of the game, we all know by now that Diamond Select have taken some casual luxuries when it comes to the designs of these characters, trying to give them a little bit more of the cartoon look combined with a little bit more of a realistic look. As a result of it, it's not quite what Peter Venkman would look like in the cartoon, but you get enough of those cues that you know you're looking at Peter Venkman. Obviously, for real Ghostbusters standpoint, they are given the regular Ghostbusters outfit, the zip-up full-body single outfit. I guess kind of like, I don't know what the actual outfit is. It's kind of like a bomber's outfit here. It gets all brown, and he also has these little teal-colored cuffs and a teal-colored collar. Obviously, as the real Ghostbusters, from each character to each character, their colors would change, unlike the movie counterparts. So Egon would have his corresponding blue, and Winston, I think, had the, gray or so. So all of the characters were unique to one another. That's sort of your first clue. You can kind of check that off if you're doing Blue's Clues. The other thing, too, is obviously this Peter Venkman's got a little bit more hair. Sorry, Bill Murray, who watches this channel religiously. I'm sorry, Bill, but he's cartoon version of you's got a little bit more hair. This coif of hair, I mean, it kind of looks like, it almost kind of reminded me of the characters, those teenagers from Dimension X in the old Ninja Turtle cartoon, the outrageous hairstyles, neutrinos. That's probably not the correct name for them. But I always really like Peter Venkman's hairstyle. It's just outrageous. So, like, you do get that. That's another Blue's Clues that you can check off. So, I think, like, the head sculpt is really good for being an updated take. Kind of as if real Ghostbusters were made into a comic book. Possibly they even were at one point. I feel like this was the kind of face that we would be seeing. So I'm pretty okay with this. In fact, actually, I've been okay with all of the real Ghostbusters' new sort of likenesses. The only one I'm sort of on the fence is, and you'll probably see it when we get into the review of it, is Ray's stance. I don't know about the face. The face is... I don't know. But needless to say, the body is the exact same reused mold from the movie figures. The Ghostbusters patch really has not changed at much from the movie counterparts to the cartoon. It's pretty much the exact same. And then basically all like the same things are now just given cartoon colors. Case in point, like the belt, for example, get a nice light blue. That same familiar bluish purple is made use of the little pocket there on the side of his belt. Again, like he's really got all the same cues Proton pack is obviously drastically different from what we got from the movie. It's got some nice coloring there with the reds and a little bit of yellow, and you got little switches and dials and meters and stuff like that on the top. There's not really a lot I would find fault from a design standpoint. I'm actually perfectly content with this Diamond Select, you know, again, interpretation for how to take, because I don't think you could take simply just the cartoon characters and just throw it up in plastic form. I think people would probably want to see a slightly more mature level of natural upgrade to those characters. And I think it actually works well for so far all the figures that we've looked at thus far. I think Rey's stance, I'm still kind of on the fence with Rey. Just kind of giving you, revealing my hand early, but little not worried, but I don't know about Rey though. Needless to say, for his articulation, it's pretty much the exact same with all the figures that we had a look at. The head rotates all the way around, hinges up and down, and hinges back and forth. The shoulders hinge also outward. You can rotate the arms all the way around. He has a bend in the elbow. I will say, though, that the paint, they've added paint, obviously, into the hinges to try to blend them in with the colorings of the elbow patch. And you got the elbow patch there, and then this is sort of the elastic end of this patch. Makes up the rest of his arm. Now they have gone in and painted the gray to try to match the sides. The ultimate problem with that, though, is you probably already see it right here. For what little I've been bending the arms since getting this figure out of packaging, I've already noticed that that paint has flaked off completely or almost completely on the one side, and you can start seeing it's already happening on this other side. It's just bound to happen. You're rubbing two things together. Generated friction of moving those two joints back and forth is ultimately going to flake off that paint. There's really no way around it. I mean, ultimately, I just would have asked that they use it like a coloring close enough to the gray, or at the very least, just leave the paint off, because the paint's going to flake off no matter what anyways. So he has a bend at the elbow, rotates the arm all the way around, and he rotates the hand all the way around, hinges back and forth. He also has an upper torso crunch, slightly limited by the fact that he's got so much of the harness kind of pinning him back, but he does have the ball joint up the upper torso. Nothing in the lower waist. Legs split out, I should say. I had to finish my train of thought there. Forward and back, swivel on the mid cut of the thigh. Double hinge. Love the fact that they have a double hinge on the knee. Kind of wish, unfortunately, from what I can still see with these figures, it doesn't look like they have double hinge on the elbows. I would love to have seen double hinges on the elbows, because I really would have wanted Peter to have that iconic pose where he's kind of got the Proton Wand behind his back, just kind of posing. It's a little trickier to pull that off when you only have that single hinge working in your favor. So I really wish that they could have double hinged that elbow at the very least. As for the feet don't swivel back and forth. They hinge up and down, and you've got yourself an ankle pivot. My Egon, over the time that I've had it, well, you remember when I did the review of that. I know. I should have reminded myself that I did do it a while ago. The ankles on Egon have gotten a little loose. Peter's not so bad the problem yet. Luckily, they do have peg holes in the undersides of their feet, so if you do have a ready available stack, kind of like little coasters, of display stands, you may want to pull out those display stands, blow off the dust if they are settling dust. Shame on you if they're settling dust. And probably bring out one of those display stands for any of the real Ghostbusters figures, because kind of like the movies, I feel like those ankles get a little loose over time, and obviously because they are carrying so much equipment on their backs, it's going to cause the figures to be top and back heavy. So you may want to bring out those display stands just to make sure that Peter Venkman doesn't fall over on your shelf. As believing that I thought this review was done, I quickly remembered that I forgot to mention that he comes also with the diorama piece. Now, I picked this one up at my local comic book stores. As far as I know, retail stores I don't think are carrying the Ghostbuster figures anymore. Yes, Peter is posing with his Proton Wand. So I think the only recourse to getting these figures now are with component pieces. I'm not 100% certain, but either way, I want to also show you that he does come with the top left-hand corner of the firehouse. I think I still have technically all the pieces. Maybe I'll get around to building them, because unlike the movie figures, I think I did actually get all of the real Ghostbusters, and I think some of the more recent waves, up to the point of covering off the entire firehouse. Now that I'm even thinking about it, I might even have a lot of the Firehouse pieces. So maybe I'll see if I can put these together. But I did want to show you guys, because I know somebody would be telling me down below, hey, wait a minute, wait a minute, wait a minute, wait a minute, wait a minute. That's a lot of wait a minutes, by the way, if you were going to put all that in the comments section. I am certain this guy also came with a Firehouse piece. You, sir, or madam, would be absolutely correct. Peter Venkman came with the top left corner of the Firehouse. There you go. I must still admit that I'm digging these Diamond Select Real Ghostbusters figures. Peter Venkman, one of my all-time favorites of the characters from the Real Ghostbusters cartoon, looks quite good here in plastic form. Understanding, of course, that the company made use of the exact same molds from the movie line of figures. It's bound to happen. Obviously, if it's in front of them, why not make use of them? So it does ultimately cause the problem that a lot of the figures from like the neck down all kind of look the same. You can kind of get around that by the fact that at least the costumes are different colors, unlike the movie counterparts. So Peter Venkman sporting purple coveralls. Coveralls was the name I wanted to go with. Purple coveralls do make him look a little bit different than Egon, makes him a little bit different than Winston Zeddemore, and makes him a lot different than Ray Stantz. The modernized head portraits that they've also incorporated into these figures, I actually don't mind yet. Still haven't looked at Ray Stantz, but based on what I'm seeing from the packaging and based on what I've seen online, I think Ray Stantz might have potentially the worst of the sculpts. Taking nothing necessarily away, but I do think it's not as good as the other three figures that we've had a look at so far. Also, speaking a little bit about the figures that we've looked at so far, I still wanted to look at, obviously, Stay Puft. The review of him will be coming up soon. But other than that, we've only got him and Slimer for spectral ghosts and ghouls and apparitions. Kind of hope that Diamond Select will want to continue this franchise, the Real Ghostbusters, that is, and even like the movie Ghostbusters, by giving us some much-needed ghosts. After all, their names are Ghostbusters, so I would hope at the very least, especially for the Real Ghostbusters, because some of the ghosts look oh so good. I'd love to see them actually give us some ghosts that the busters here, or the Ghostbusters, can actually bust. Needless to say, if you guys are interested in picking this one up for yourself, the current wave, a little late on getting the reviews out, I know, you don't have to remind me, should be still available in your local comic book stores. In fact, the last time I went to my local comic book store a couple of weeks ago, they still had these ones on pegs. The recent wave, the most recent wave, this one, Stands and Puffed. I abbreviated all to their last names. I guess Stayed Puft would be Puffed for his last name. Mr., I guess, obviously Mr., but Stay, I guess, is first name. Puffed, last name. Sounds like a rapper. Anyways, if you guys are interested, like I said, in picking these ones up for yourself, you should be able to find them still at your local comic book stores. And my apologies for taking so long to get the reviews underway for these. It's like everything else. I put it to the side with the intent, the good intent, that I'm going to get around to reviewing it, and then I get sidetracked. And then hopefully I get them up, but I get them up a little bit later. Either way, guys, today we were having a look at the Diamond Select, slightly new, Real Ghostbusters Series 10 Pete Venkman. I abbreviate, that's shortened. It's Peter Venkman. But either way, if you guys are interested in, like I said, picking these ones up for yourself, your local comic book stores. Based on this review, if you haven't done so already, picked these up already, let me know what you guys think of the figure. Always like reading your comments down below. Speaking of down below, also, if you haven't done so already, if you are shy to admit it, that's okay, you don't have to. But at the bottom right-hand corner of this video, there's a little subscribe button. Make sure you click on that and, of course, turn on your notifications to ensure that every single video that comes onto this channel, you guys, ladies and owls, will never miss out. More videos will be coming your way, of course, as promised as well. Stands and Puffed, shortened, Stands and Puffed, that actually sound like a rap team, will be coming shortly in upcoming reviews, probably right around the corner. So stay tuned for those. Thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you guys next time.